Welcome to Steve's Place. It's 6 p.m. Pacific. For those who might be running late, we did switch over to daylight savings time. So it is 6 p.m., okay? Uh, and so let me get started here. I want to remind everyone to go to our website and click on this Tesla Tech logo here to see last year's conferences. We're doing them as a video on demand, basically, and $99 permanently, and that gives you everything forever. And you click on that, it'll bring up this page here. On this page here, you can sign up for T-shirts, if you'd like to get a T-shirt, or if you want to give a donation, the green button is a donation, and or you can order, if you haven't already, get the live stream from last year, okay? And I want to remind everyone to join our Tesla Tech YouTube channel. It's subscriptions are free. We have a couple hundred videos up there you can watch for free. And what subscription does, if you have it alert you every time we put something up there, it will tell you that, hey, something new's up there. And we're getting ready to add a bunch more up there. So go ahead and get subscribed at least. And if you can, I'd like everyone to become a membership. It's $9.99. Our goal this year is to get to 1,000 members online. So subscribers are up to about 22,000, but we need to get about 1,000 paid memberships. So if you know anyone, encourage them. If they're interested in this stuff, you have global access on this 24/7. So I encourage everyone to become a member and enjoy it. And an easy way to get to hit there is to go to our webpage, and then on the main page there, teslatech.info, there's a yellow box here. Now, this yellow box is kind of special. If you click on the top button, Tesla Tech channel, it takes you to the general channel, okay, where we are at. Or you can go in and if you know what conference you want to watch, we have all the conferences up there now. So you can at least see what was presented at those conferences. And then we also have speaker directory too. If you know who you want to watch, we're still work in progress. We're adding more people up every week. So keep checking up there. Last but not least, I want to remind everyone about this year's conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, August 6th to 10th. Mark your calendars. We have a 30% discount going on right now. So I encourage you to get up there, get signed up for it, get that 30%. Sign up 2 people to get 35%, and I encourage you to get signed up for it. We're still working on the hotel a little bit more. Not my car's working. I can get to Albuquerque in a week or two and sit down and see what kind of deal we can get worked out with these people. Okay. And tonight's guest is Randy Hatton. He's does a lot of work with water, and I'm sure that a lot of you people have seen him at our conference. And right now we're trying to get his PowerPoint up. Hi, Randy.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the older version, and I'll just make with the older version.
Hey, Randy was at our conference last year, and he had a table there, and he'll be there this year. He'll be speaking, but even better, he'll have his a product there, and you can test it out there. And so, without further ado, I'm going to let Randall go with the there you go, with the science of waters. Okay, there you go. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Randy.
Well, the first thing I want to say, anybody who's listening to this, my main reason to sharing this today is to support people with optimal health and well-being, to support people to wake up and remember who we are, This is something that I think is imperative in the times we live in. And I've learned through 25 years of researching and playing with water, water plays a great role in helping us to remember and who we are, also by clearing toxins and heavy metals and things that way out of our body. But anyways, I started in the world of being a commercial fisherman, and I started when I was 7 years old. I grew up in the state of Washington State, and I basically, around the age of 26, my life took a huge change, and because of two shaman elders that came into my life, a grandmother Falling Leaf Crowfoot and a grandmother Celia Nelson. And so anyways, I quit my career. I was a captain of a 180-foot fishing vessel called the Bering Empire. And I decided, because of some of the things that came into my life, that really changed my life. This is the ship that I was running. It's called the Bering Empire. It was a 175-foot fishing vessel. We would catch and process the crab on the boat. We fished out of Dutch Harbor, Alaska, out of the whole Bering Sea. And it's known in National Geographic, it's called the deadliest catch. And I experienced some really amazing things in all my years of fishing. I experienced how extreme and how intense the oceans can be. And I also experienced how beautiful and calm the ocean can be. So I learned to respect water and respect the ocean, because I've had several friends that were there 1 minute and the next minute they were gone and never to be seen again. This is one of the most deadliest jobs on the planet. And National Geographic called it the deadliest catch. So it was a very intense, years of fishing on the Bering Sea, and it was extreme. You run just a few hours and you got 3 feet of solid ice on your boat. You got to beat it off, especially because it gets heavy on one side of the boat, and you start listing, and not a good thing. You can roll the boat over just because of a whole bunch of weight on one side. So I was blessed to, again, to connect with the spirit of the water. All of these years, I was on the ocean roughly 10 months, 9 to 10 months a year, on the ocean, on the water. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was connecting to the water on a level that I was not aware of. And when these two ladies showed up in my life, grandmother Falling Leaf Crowfoot and a grandmother Celia, when they showed up, my life took a huge turnaround, a huge change. I realized a lot of what I'd been living was a lie. And I started learning some of the things they taught me was about the world of spirituality and meditation. And so I started meditating, and I started getting literally downloads of ideas of how to work with water. And part of it started with my girlfriend at the time. She brought me a video, and the video was about, this was in about 1997, 1998. The video was about a device called the Grander Water System from Austria. And it showed all these things that this water filter device did. And it was hard to believe. I had a hard time believing it, yet a part of me said, I need to look into this deeper. There's something to this. So I looked to where I could buy one, because I was going to cut it in half. That little kid side of me wanted to cut it in half and see what's in there and how does this work? How's it doing all these magical things? So I found a guy who actually only lived about an hour away from me, Dr. Thomas Nazareth, I believe his name was, and he was a rep for Grander Water Technologies. So I went to him and I basically said, you know, I want to buy one of your water technology devices, but I got to tell you, I want to cut it in half. I want to know what's inside of it. And he shakes it. It's a stainless steel device, which was about 10 inches tall, about 4 inches by 4 inches, a block of stainless steel. And he shakes it and you can hear water in there. And I'm thinking, water? What's the water about? He said, well, what happens? Water goes in the one side of this. And I had all this on my other PowerPoints, which I don't know why we couldn't get it loaded, but all of this was in there, including a whole bunch of tests that I had done too, showing you the test. But anyways, I'm not here. I want you to be very clear. I'm not here to try to push and sell products to people. I'm here to help you to have optimal health and well-being. And I'm really sharing 25 years of understanding what I've come to realize about water. And I just want to help people to be healthy as possible. Because right now on the planet, we're dealing with a lot of toxicity in our waterways. And a part of that's a reflection of our internal waters in our bodies. So anyways, back to the Grander system. He says, well, the water just goes in it and it puts it in a bit of a spiral. It goes through it. And then the water that's in there is in a copper jacket, and that water is transferring informational fields to the other water as it goes by. I'm saying, really? Wow, really? Water can do that? And he says, yes. And then he told me, he says, yes, I played with this, and I know this is why I sell them. It works. And there's also some magnets in there. So he says, but their problem with them is that if they freeze, if the filter freezes, and that water jacket will burst. And he says, I found some stuff in Canada called magnesoil. It's a paramagnetic soil. And I found some really healing and amazing things. So some customers that their jacket busted, I have replaced it with this magnesoil, and we're finding great results by putting the magnesoil in there. I'm thinking, wow, really? So water could be changed by other water just being by it, not even touching it, or these other natural properties of natural healing materials or high energy materials. And so I ended up not having to buy the filter because it was like $1,800. I ended up buying one of the doctor's wands, and he had also a mug that he put the soil in. So we can't play this video because videos won't play. Something quite weird with all of this. But anyway, so I bought one of these wands and I bought one of the mugs, and I took them and I brought them to Grandmother Falling Leaf, my teacher, and I asked her to play with it. And I come back a week later and I said, did you find anything unique about this? And she said, well, yeah, I did. She said, I'm allergic. I like chocolate cake, but I'm allergic to it. And when I my guide said, put some chocolate cake in the mug, let it sit for an hour, and then eat the cake and see what happens. So she did that. And she never broke out. She never had a reaction from the cake. And she said, I found that interesting. And she said, I did a few other things that I know that my body doesn't respond well to, and put it in there, and I was fine. So that put me down onto a road. Well, again, I started meditating and I started downloading, and these ideas started coming through between the Grander technology, what grandmother talked about with the magnesoil. And I'm learning everything. Grandmother Celia was telling me everything in the universe is about frequency, vibration, and energy, resonance. So I started getting these downloads, and I started getting these ideas to come up with things. So one of the things that I want to get off on, I've learned when we start getting quiet enough in life, and getting still enough. This is where the real secrets come through. I believe this is why Viktor Schauberger, who was an idol of mine, his teacher was nature. You look at Rudolf Steiner, even Nikolai Tesla, and Walter Russell. A lot of these brilliant individuals, I feel, one of the reasons they were so brilliant is because they didn't get so caught up in this mundane world of being heavily educated. And because many times this heavily indoctrinated education system that has been going on for years doesn't allow us to really open up to that side of ourselves that we can tapping into the morphogenetic field, or the known as the Akashic records. And when we get quiet enough and we get still enough, this is what I've learned, we start tapping into this morphogenetic field, and we tap into everything that's ever been figured out or existed or come to realize there's a field that we can tap into. And so I'm gonna pass through these for now. But some of the things, again, I've realized about water. Water is here to teach us. It has so many things it's trying to show us. And 15, 20 years ago, back when I was a crab fisherman, and I also had my own boat in Bristol Bay, Alaska, we fished for sockeye salmon. And what I know now, I never would have believed back then. I never would have believed, not hardly half of or a third of what I'm telling you here today. But I know from 25 years of research, what I'm talking about is true. It's true for me. I'm not here to convince you or make you believe it. Try to listen with your heart, Try to get out of your head and listen with your heart, because you're going to get more of this if you can move into your heart and listen from that place. So one of the things I feel water teaches, water never holds or clings on to anything or anyone. We humans have a real issue with this. We cling on to our jobs, our partners, our materialistic stuff. We cling. And when those things leave us, then, we're crushed most cases. Well, water's here to teach us we don't want to do that, because clinging on to anything or anyone is just going to come to heartaches and problems in our life. Realize that the creator of all that is has granted us everything we have, and be grateful. It's just a lease. You don't own any of it. So when we become wise like water, we become transparent. We're never trying to be someone that we're not, never cheating or lying, because we know lying and cheating ourselves, which only harms ourselves and everyone involved. So when we're wise like water, we know to never judge another, for we're judging a part of ourselves. We are one drop in the vast sea of creation, and we are the sea. When we are wise like water, we know we don't see ourselves above or below anyone. We are all equal. It doesn't matter what color, race, religion, how much money we have or don't have. We are all fractals from the 0 point field of source creation, and we are all equally important. So my philosophy is, you give your time, bum on the street can teach you something. Give them a moment. We're all teachers and we're all students. We want to remember this. But when we're wise like water, we know there's a time to be quiet, calm, gentle, and still. And there's also a time to be loud, move quickly, swiftly, with force, yet always flowing through life with least resistance, as water does. Water always flows with least resistance, and yet it is super powerful. Water can cut through 4 inches of plate steel. That's phenomenal. So never forcing or rushing anything or anyone in life. Like water, we have to remember to balance our masculine and feminine force of creation. Now, again, I think this is really an important thing in the day and age we're in. Learning the art of balancing our masculine and feminine, honoring the feminine side of us and the masculine side of us. It's imperative right now in the times we're in, especially if we want to step more into who we really are, which are amazing creator God goddesses, powerful beings beyond measure. Every one of us have a genius in us. And a part of stepping into that genius is learning this balance. As I'm going to get in the later slides, how this works, and why this is so important. So when we're wise like water, we know even though we come in many different shapes, colors, and sizes, we are all one and eventually return to the source of oneness. As hail, snow, sleet, rain, rivers, aquifers. I don't know why the slides are not coming out all the way, but for some reason they're not. Yeah. Anyways, so when we're wise like water, we know that what we do to our internal waters affects all the water on the planet. How much self-care and self-love we generate and radiate directly affects the well-being of the all. The level we raise our frequency, energy, and consciousness directly affects everyone and the entire planet through the element of water. So this is important. We see all these problems that are going on in the waterways of the planet. And those problems are going on because of us, the human race. And until we turn ourselves around and what we're doing to our internal waters, the external waters on the planet will be continued to be polluted, high acidic levels, pH out of balance. That's all direct reflection to us, what's going on in the human race. It's hard to see this, but everything is energetically connected. Everything is one. So when we're wise like water, we know our environment is a reflection of ourselves. The contamination in the global waterways and the imbalance of pH is merely water's way of holding a mirror up to us. Look at the work of Mashiro Emoto and Veda Austin. So many of you have probably heard of Mashiro Emoto and the work that he did. He clearly showed when you have nice words to water, it has beautiful pictures of these amazing snowflake looking pictures. And then when you have words like you fool and you make me sick, evil, you have this really distorted, ugly looking picture. So water is super sensitive. It's the most programmable substance on the planet. And it is so sensitive, way beyond what we've come to realize. And now Veda Austin is taking this to another level also, and teaching us, showing us that water is reflecting back to us. I mean, she's literally, doing things with water that's just phenomenal. And you can do this yourself. You don't need a superconductive electron microscope. You can do this with your phone and seeing amazing images and pictures from just thinking about or putting an image over the bowl of water. It is amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal. So I think probably many of us have heard of this work, I would assume, but some of us haven't. But my point is remember, water's a liquid crystal. It's the most programmable substance on the planet. And as we go down the road, we're going to realize that water is going to be the future of all medicine. When you understand the art of infusing informational fields into water, because there's an alchemy and an art to this, it is super important. So don't know why the slides are coming out really weird, but whatever. So one of the things that I've come to realize, again, for helping us to wake up and remember who we are, to have optimal health and well-being, live water, what I call full spectrum water, is critical. So we want water that's full of zeta potential. It's high in electrons, low in ORP, that's oxidized reduction potential, with healing frequencies to support optimal health. So we need to either be drinking artesian spring water right from the ground. That's the only fully mature water from the earth. Water that comes right from the ground on its own, directly from the earth. Or we need to copy nature's way, right? And that's what I've been working on for 25 years. I have been issued several patents on this, and I've dedicated my life to it, to the global waterways and to providing people with products to mimic this type of energy, healing energy that we find in natural artesian spring water. So this helps to manage the stress by breathing deeply. Another important thing, These are things we found. Gerald Pollack's work of easy water and how to produce more easy water in the body is really important. So just simple things like being grateful, receiving and giving love, getting out in nature, walking barefoot on the earth. This is imperative to supporting the creation of more easy water in our body. So if we're drinking structured water and then we're doing these things, morning sunlight hitting the body as naked as possible. These are critical things in this day and age of staying healthy and staying strong and creating easy waters. Short-term fasting, highly recommended. One of the simplest, cheapest ways to have better health. Movement, dance, walk, exercise. Really, really important in this day and age. And, I've learned in life, you pay one day or one way or another. It's either we put in a little work now and we don't pay so much later. And my philosophy, put in a little work now. Don't rely on your health insurance to take care of you down the road. Do your homework, do your research, and start putting in your body and being careful what you put in your body. Because there's a lot of toxins and a lot of food this day and age. So, basically, the scientific insights about it's really, really quite simple. We're mainly water. We live on a water planet. Molecularly, we're 99% water. And most of us, as myself, I did for many, many years, I put water on the back burner. It was either milk, juice, pop, Kool-Aid, whatever. Water was it was all around me, all over the place, but never thought how important it was that I continued to put water in my body until I got to an age where my body started having problems and I started having to step up my game. And that was kind of around this area of 26, 28 years old when this all started coming to me. But anyways, so again, if we can't you can drink gallons of water a day. But if you can't get the water to go into the cell and flush out the toxins and bring in the nutrients, it doesn't do you much good. So this is why Dr. Mushik John did years of research on this, proving when we just vortex and magnetize water, we make these clumps. The water molecules clump together like a random clump of grapes. And when you just use you vortex water and you use magnetism, and he was doing this with a plastic blender. It was called a Vitalizer Plus, and he had a little magnet on the stir motor. I believe what has come through me goes far beyond that, but anyways, but he proved what happens. You break those clumps down into a 6-sided hexagonal water molecule. And this is smaller, so it's easier to get in through the membrane. The cells have an oily lipid membrane around them, and it's easier to penetrate that membrane and get into the cell, into the cytoplasm of the cell, and then it goes into the electron transport chain. It's not a big deal to go into that, but it helps to hydrate the cell, bring the nutrients in, and flush the toxins out, where most of the water we're drinking this day and age is not doing that. That's why you can drink gallons a day, but if it's not getting in your cell, it's not going to hydrate you very well. And 95% of us are dehydrated. This is the big problem on the planet. And this is directly related to all kinds of health conditions and issues. So anyways, this is all, if you do your homework and research, don't believe me, do your research and do your homework. If you really care about having better health, which brings more happiness, more prosperity, it's all directly related. Health is directly related to prosperity. So the process, why is this going on? Yeah, I don't know, Steve, why this is really weird what it's done to my PowerPoints. But anyways, so this is sounds and waves and light on water. These are things that have been, I'll just skip through some of this for now. Research on the importance of what sound can do to water, what light spectrums can do to water. It is amazing when you start looking at the research that's been done, how receptive water and how it can change in all of these areas. And so I'm not going to go too much into this either. This is about deuterium depleted water. It's not right now, I don't think that important. So I'm going to skip through some of these. So yeah, we have to ask us, why are 80 to 90% of humans dehydrated and full of microplastics and other chemicals? This is science. So this is a really, really shocking thing to realize. Over 1 million one-time use plastic water bottles, just plastic water bottles, are consumed every 60 seconds. So that equals 1,444,000,000 consumed in 24 hours. And less than 12% of that plastic is being recycled. Now, it also takes twice the amount of water to produce that one bottle of water. Literally, it takes twice the amount of water that's in the bottle to produce the bottle. Now you look at basically 1 liter plastic water bottle contains up to 250,000 pieces of microplastic. It's common to find now this day and age, concentrations in the brain of individuals aged 45, 50 are up to 480 micrograms. That's equivalent to an entire plastic spoon just in their brain alone. That's not the other rest of the body. I mean, we really got to ask ourselves, do we really care about our health? Do we really care about the planet? Do we care about the future of our generations to come, our children and grandchildren? Because this insanity has to stop somewhere. A lot of this plastic is going in the ocean. I have a nonprofit organization called Project Clean Oceans, and it's all about getting this plastic out of the ocean. And yet, until we raise our consciousness and understanding about this, not much will change. We humans, we hear things, but we don't really listen. And if we don't start listening, we're going to be in some real interesting times, and we're already in those times. It's time for us to wake up, get off the bleachers, and start playing the game of life. If we care, again, about our children and grandchildren and all of life that depends on us to change our ways, the fish, the birds, the insects, you name it. We are having a direct impact. Species are dying, going extinct every day. So, bioplastics won't solve the plastic crisis. Banning single-use plastic water bottles and packaging. We need to start getting some mandated things about this. Chemical transparency and promote non-toxic fill and reuse systems. Petition for full spectrum water. These technologies that come through me, I'm happy to run them through a nonprofit. It's not about making money. It's about making a difference. This is something that we have just really overlooked, the significance of what we're doing. And it is, our city water, we're paying people to poison us in the environment, putting chlorine, fluoride, toxins in the water that we're paying for, that's going into our bodies and into the environment. It's insanity, people. And so water was never meant to run down straight pipes and 90-degree bends. What happens when we do this, it causes friction. And what it does is it robs electrons from the water. And it does more than that, but the life force energy is robbed. And so when the water comes out of the tap, after it's been doused with chemicals and run down pipes for miles with 90-degree bends, it comes out of the tap. The water's like comatose. It's comatose. And then some people say, oh, I have a really good filter, so I'm fine. I got a reverse osmosis or distillate or whatever, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, no. 50% of the job is done. You have removed the physical contaminants from the water. And even some of the reverse osmosis is not doing that. It's not removing them all, especially fluoride. Fluoride's really tough to get out. A lot of RO systems only get the fluoride out for a period of time, and then it doesn't do much. It doesn't do a lot until you replace the filters. I recommend distillation at this point in life. Anyways, once we have removed the physical contaminants, we now have to remove the vibrational contaminants. Remember, water carries up to 440,000 bits of information in one molecule. And there is sextillion molecules in one drop. That is a number with 20 zeros, sextillion. That is a lot. Water is a liquid crystal. You can't remove the informational field just by filtering it. Water has to be put in a free-flowing centripetal interwinding vortex or a torus. This is the optimal way of clearing those informational fields. So, Schauberger was very clear: comprehend nature and copy nature's way. Schauberger was way ahead of his time. Many of you have probably heard of him. He created flying crafts that flew on implosion, that flew on the feminine energy of levity. And these are the main things that Schauberger said when working with water: shape, motion, temperature, and material. 4 most critical things when working with water. I won't go into the detail of that, but again, really simple. Copy nature's way. Treat water with love and respect. Treat water as you would your very best friend. And the more we start doing that, the more we're going to start shifting consciousness, because water is a direct player in the shifting of consciousness and helping us to wake up and remember who we are. We've been heavily hypnotized. Simple as that, heavily hypnotized since kindergarten. When we started learning spelling, we started getting put under the spell. Very clear. Why Schauberger never went to one day of school. He knew better. So, and this is one of the reasons we don't understand ourselves real well, because we don't understand nature. The basics of nature are the centripetal force and the centrifugal. So we look at what's been happening. It's been a patriarchal hierarchy, male dominant society. This is what's happening, and internally and externally. Now, it's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It just is what it is. But most mothers are no longer staying at home. They're raising the kids on their own half the time, and playing both roles. And, it's pretty amazing, but 29% of people live alone now in the U.S. That's 37 million people just in the U.S. It's a lot. And this is all has to do with basically centripetal and centrifugal. In nature, Schauberger pointed out, in nature, it's roughly about a 65% feminine, centripetal, implosion, cooling, contracting, levitational, magnetic, circular. It works with the element of hydrogen, a feminine force, which receives in order to give. And the centrifugal part of nature is the expansion, explosion, creating heat, working with gravity, electrical. It's the element of oxygen. So the masculine energy that gives in order to receive, leading to death and decay. So in a healthy nature, you have 35% roughly of the death and decay. Trees fallen, rotting, it's feeding the feminine. And it's a teeter-totter. It's a little bit back and forth. It's not, always, it's not balanced. It's a little bit of a teeter-totter back and forth all the time. And this is why, even with ourselves, we need to remember there's a time to receive. We need to be the feminine part of us to receive. And there's a time also to give, the masculine part of us. Many of us can get out of balance with this. We're constantly giving too much and never allowing to receive. Or we're the other way, we're receiving all the time, expecting the world to, give the platter show the world to us and have everything come to us, and we don't need to give out. The key is this balance. This is what I'm learning in life. So we want to remember, another aspect of full spectrum water, it's high in electrons, lower ORP, around 250, 300, conductivity, you have the magnetism in there. And we want also the importance of the balance of gases in water. Way overlooked. The energy in water is never going to reach its optimal potential and healing ability if we don't get the gases in the water. Super important. And again, we're not going to get this from city water. We're not going to get this from bottled water. And the importance of a centripetal interwinding vortex also is the importance of creating membranes. So the water is receptive to all that's going on with the planets and the galaxies, to prayer, to light, to frequency, to sound, you name it. If I just took a bottle of water from a store-bought bottle of water and I wanted to put frequencies in that, it wouldn't take it in very well because their membranes in the water aren't open to receive that. So Albert St. George, Nobel Prize winner, he stated, hydrogen is rather than oxygen is a fuel of life. Oxygen burns hydrogen, releasing the energy in the form of ATP, which runs our body. So water supplies us both with the fuel, hydrogen, and the fire, oxygen. It is hydrogen is often the limiting factor. As we know, hydrogen is getting bigger and bigger on the planet, bigger and bigger. Between the fuel cells, and it will be the next way we will be driving vehicles that are run on hydrogen. Stan Myers discovered this years ago, as many of you know, and that is going to be tapped into the morphogenetic field for those of us who are ready, and it's already happening. It's already happening. We will be driving cars quite soon. In my opinion, they're going to be running on hydrogen, and hydrogen is clean. And that's why I say hydrogen is the feminine. Also, what happens when you burn hydrogen? You get water. It makes water. We come from the feminine, we return to the feminine. So when we now start understanding, so the underlying pattern that permeates our universe is the vortex or the spiral, or the double vortex, which is the torus. This is where we go into, another energy we'll talk about here in a little bit. So you can see it's all around us. It's the signature of source energy. The galaxies, the galactic core, the solar systems, the weather patterns, the space, the time fabric around the Earth. Who was it? Einstein predicted this, that space-time fabric around the Earth was a vortex, and then NASA years later confirmed it. So from the micro to the macro, from our DNA to the Milky Way galaxy, it is all around us. This is the video that really shows the planets. The planets are not just circling around the sun. We wouldn't be going anywhere. We wouldn't be evolving. Things wouldn't be changing. The planets are being drawn by the sun, and they're spiraling around the sun as they're being drawn through space. This is what I believe, cannot prove it, but I believe it's what's going on. Otherwise, we'd be more like a gerbil on the wheel, completely going around and around in circles, the dog chasing his tail. So you kind of get the point here. From the micro to the macro, life spirals. It's all around us. Okay. And we start working with what's known as the Fibonacci spiral. Another thing, what did they talk about the Ark of the Covenant? You see a big vortex. It was known to see vortex energy coming out of the top of the Ark of the Covenant. Again, something we want to ask ourselves. So crop circles, trying to teach us something, trying to tell us something. One of some of the oldest carvings, megalithic art, one of the oldest ever known. What do you see? 3 concentric spirals. the triskelion. Again, this is ancient too. This is very, very old. So when you start looking at a vortex, when you start putting a vortex into a hyperbolic cone, this is the mathematical formula. I've been creating these for years, and it's based on what is called the tonal chord of nature. It's also what the 88 keys of a piano are based on. It's a mathematical formula. When you create, this becomes your wave guide, which creates a specific wave form that comes off of these. I've had people tell me they can see this energy goes way down on the planet, and it goes at least 1.5 miles all around these when they're running. Now, I cannot see this. I've never been able to see it, but I've had a handful of people over many years, only probably 5 or 6, but they say the exact same thing. Those people were gifted to see, they're gifted to see in these other dimensions that majority of us cannot see. And so anyways, there is a lot going on. This is literally creating 6 to 8 times more energy than it takes to run it. Viktor Schauberger, again, pointed this out years ago. It defies the laws of physics, literally. 6 to 8 times more energy this is producing than it takes to run it. And so I won't, so Rudolf Steiner, what did he state? He stated when you create a deep crater vortex in water, they did it with a paddle and a 55-gallon drum. He said, when you do this, you pull in the supersensible energies of the cosmos. Well, I call this cosmic consciousness. This is what I call it. He called it, yeah. And he also said you pull in the energies from the earth up into the water also when you do this. And they would sprinkle clay and other ingredients into it, and they would tone. They would literally tone into the barrel as a different tone clockwise or a different tone counterclockwise. So he clearly, then they would take this water, this potentized water, and they would mix it into a whole lot of water, and then they would water the whole field and get phenomenal results. So anyways, there's so many things we've overlooked in this area. And, you know, the work of Nazem Haramein, and, you know, a quote from him, instead of fighting nature, work with nature because it is highly successful at producing a serious amount of energy. Attach your technology to it, and you'll have a very, very large capacity to do things which seem like miracles. So everything's a fractal from the source energy, in my thing. Everything's a fractal. And I'm not going to go into deeply more of this, too much about this. It's not necessary in this part. Again, this is the mathematical formula when you understand it. But healthy water is constantly flowing, spiraling, doing the dance of life. That's the kind of water we were meant to be drinking. And still to this day, you know, why do you think surfers so much like to run, you know, get in the tunnel, get in that, because they're in the 0 point field. That's in the 0 point field that they're getting in. And there's a tremendous amount of energy going on there. So anytime we have this, what we see as the vortex coming down, we also have this energy that we can't see, which is a levitational feminine energy that from the spiral, from the vortex, that goes up and out. And you think that the water is creating what you see, like the previous pictures, but it's not. It's the energy. The water is forming around the energy. It's like a boat going across a lake. It creates the wake. Well, this energy, which is energy that we're working with, that works between the 5th and the 9th dimension, is what my guidance tells me. It's why it defies many laws of physics and many other things. And it's why when we see a tornado come through, we see these very unique, phenomenal things happening. Like a grain of wheat embedded into a glass window and the window's not broken. Like, how did that happen? All right. I'm not going to go into all of it, but this has been it's been shown. Tornadoes come through, they rip pipes under the ground, under the ground 5-10 feet, where a tornado passed over it and literally twists and rips the massive steel pipe apart many feet under the ground, did not tear into the ground. You're working with different dimensions here. We're going to find this out more and more as we go down the road when we understand it. But the torus is a multidimensional geometric figure that lies at the heart of all space-time. So the torus demonstrates the universal laws of energy dynamics based on torque and spiraling forces, based on centripetal and centrifugal forces. One in the torus represents the yang pole, the feminine, the hydrogen, levity, causing cooling, contracting, imploding, centripetal force. It's all about quality, not quantity. It's about quality with a force that sucks and is magnetic and enfolds all energy into matter itself. So this is something that, and then you go to the other end of the torus, and we're representing by the masculine yang pole. This energy is electric. It represents oxygen. It's about quality, expands. It's gravity, causing heat, explosion, expanding all energy outward to create space-time itself. So the torus combined with the hyperbolic egg is the ultimate combination of both centripetal and centrifugal forces, bringing implosion, explosion dynamics into the same system. So a vision I have is that we have these systems that will treat entire communities, entire cities. You start putting the water in a toroidal field, imploding the gases, understanding the power of working with specific sound frequencies, light spectrums. No longer do we need any chlorine or chemicals, because the water is so high frequency and energy, it will keep itself clean. I can prove this, proven beyond a doubt. So now we have to ask ourselves also some of these unique things. Why do these things show up? And well, I want to step back a minute. So this is, in my opinion, one of the reasons why we are dealing with all of this contamination on the planet, because we have been very swung over as the pendulum swings to this masculine dominant based society, including internally and externally. Even many women have lost a part of their feminine goddess side. And again, what is the centrifugal expansion, explosion energy? Well, that's all of our transportation that we've been running on for the last 100 years or so, right? It's all about heat, expansion, explosion. And we must turn this around. If we want to turn around the problem of contamination, we must understand this feminine force of implosion, because implosion is far superior energetically to the explosion. And we will eventually move into that, as Viktor Schauberger proved with the flying saucers that he created years ago, back in the 40s. I don't think nobody ever rode in one, but he proved how you can tap into this feminine levitational force, and that we could be driving around and flying around. Once our consciousness has risen enough as a collective human on the human race, the hydrogen will eventually become a thing of a past, and the levitation will fully step in. Viktor Schauberger's flying saucers literally flew on ambient air. They cleaned the air as they flew, left a bluish green haze behind them as they flew. So I feel there's some resemblance to the pine cone, and to the pine cone and the toroidal field, or the hyperbolic egg. I'm not going to go into this right now deeply. I don't feel it's important, but it's something we want to recognize. And there's a huge thing that's happening with people with the fluoride in the city water. It's calcifying people's third eye. This is why so many of us are zombies. I'm not here to judge. I'm not judging, but it is a fact. Our third eyes are getting calcified, And a part of this problem is fluoride. And even if you're not drinking the water in the city, you're bathing in it, that fluoride is going into your body. Remember that. And also remember, you're paying for it. Don't forget that. You're paying for it. When are we going to step up, take our power back, and say, no, enough is enough? If we're going to pay for this, we're going to pay for something that actually brings us life and our environment life, because all the city waters, it's also watering all the plants, the trees, and all the things, and it's going, it's not supporting life in any way, shape, or form. So this is back to where I was telling you earlier about roughly a third feminine, and 2/3 feminine, a third masculine. It's the forest kind of looks like this. You got some death and decay going on. This is where we need to move into with ourselves, stepping into this balancing of this masculine feminine, because everything's a reflection. As we do this as a human race, we will automatically, these things will start turning around, And anyways, yeah, from the galactic core to everything, to the earth, to our hearts even, and the sun, they're all a Torus. It's all a Torus. We are the sons of God. When we wake up and realize this, we are the sons of God. Sons, S-U-N. Biblically, they said S-O-N. No, we got that misunderstood, in my opinion. We are the sons, S-U-N, of God. The sun is here to really reflect to us our potential. And the more we live a life where we don't get so distracted with everything in our outer world, and you start realizing things like one of our cells has 0.07 volts. You times that by 50 trillion cells, and you get 3.5 trillion volts of electrical potential. Our potential goes so far beyond our even imagination. And the more we learn to step in and wake up and remember who we are, the more us will start showing and demonstrating the power that we all are. And every one of us has a unique gift, a unique genius in us. All right? Every one of us has a genius in every one of us, a genius that nobody else has. When we activate the wormhole to our DNA, we activate that genius. Water plays a huge role in this. The kind of water we're putting in our body and the food and our daily habits and stuff plays a huge role, whether you're going to open that wormhole to your DNA, activate all you are, step into the divine blueprint of who you are, and shine your light and your love to everybody. So another amazing thing that, you can't fathom, but our subconscious mind can process 400 billion bits of information a second with an impulse speed up to 100,000 miles an hour. We are a supercomputer. Our subconscious is a supercomputer. Our conscious mind can only do like 2,000 bits of information a second and a pulse rate of about 150 miles an hour. So this is why when I do some things called medical intuitive, and many others that I know can do this, you can quite quickly, not your conscious mind, you get into the high mind, and you step even into the super conscious mind, you go to another level, help people to find out what health issues are going on with them. We are so far beyond what we can imagine, really, in so many ways. And we are the great central sons of God. And again, 10, 15 years ago, I would have said this is all craziness. But I know in my heart and soul, this is not craziness. Some of these beings, Babaji, Yogananda, Kuan Yin, these beings all showed us our potential. They're not there for us to idle them. They're there to show us our potential. And our potential is so far beyond what we can imagine. And because we have these new energies available to us now on the planet that have not been here before in the past, We have the potential to really step our game up if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to really step up your game and do the work, you will find amazing things that you can change in your life and new things to happen, new gifts to start coming in and showing up. But to me, what this requires to really step in and become the sons of God that we can be, it requires doing the self-care, the self-love. It requires this. And we have been brought up saying, oh, you don't do that. No, you take care of your kid, you take care of your wife, your husband, you take care of everybody else, and you put yourself last. Well, I'm here to say that is wrong. We need to step up and say, step into the feminine side of us and say, I need to nurture and love myself. And I believe to be really the sons of God that we are, we need to spend 6 to 8 hours a day of that self-care, self-love, whatever it takes for you. And then you have 8 hours a day to your outer work, your gifts to the world, your light, your love, your gifts to the world. And then you have 8 hours a day of rest and relaxation. You know, it's crazy, but you know, I've seen this. Even my father, he's dealing with some health issues. And I said, well, Dad, if you do this, you do this. And I said, you know, you can turn this around quite easily. And he's like, well, I don't have time for that. That's going to take me 20 minutes to do that every day. And I'm like, Dad, you're retired and you got plenty of money in the bank. Well, I got to tend to the yard. I got to tend to this and that. I'm like, this is the mentality that we humans have, for some reason, have taken on. And it is, again, imperative that we wake up and we turn this around. If we really want to step into who we are and become the loving, kind, amazing beings that we are and bring our unique gifts out, and the real genius is in, this is where we tap into the morphogenetic field. This is where we tap into what Nikola Tesla discovered and Rudolf Steiner and many of these others. This is the way we tap into waking up, becoming the creator God goddesses we are, to really make some great change on the planet. It's an inside job. It's not an outside job. We keep looking out here to find the solutions. The solutions are in here. Inside job. Anyways, please don't let me come across that I'm telling you what you should do. I'm merely saying this from my heart to yours. This is your potential. So the solution to dehydration problems. This is the previous version that I did years ago over to the left. I call it Gaia's Fountain. This is the version I call Varuna with the egg. So what I see to overcome this bottled water problem and people with dehydration and with all these health issues, we need to have these at every school, every government building, every bus stop, every train, every airport, everywhere. Everybody has their bottle they go around with, their glass, nice, good glass bottle or ceramic. Do not recommend steel. Steel robs magnetism. Stay away from steel. Have your bottle, fill it up wherever you go. You know, in the beginning, this can be done with like a swipe, a card, like a Costco card. In the future, it's going to be done with our tax dollars. And it's the way it should be right now. Our tax dollars should be paying for this, but not enough people give a shit about themselves. So in the beginning, we probably have to start off with something like a Costco card. Now, I myself am happy to run this to a nonprofit organization. I'm not attached to money. I'm attached to making a difference. You know, when I leave here, it's nothing to do with how much money I made or how much real estate I acquired. What's gonna matter is how much can I make a difference, and all helping us remember who we are, helping us to have better health, more happiness, more joy in our life. This is a little tabletop version I also have come up with. So hold this vision, please, with me, that we can all have healthy, full spectrum water like you find coming out of a mountain spring, no matter if you live in New York City or wherever. And we overcome this plastic problem that is really important that it overcomes. I mean, it's really important. So this is something else that I've been working on the global waterways. when you start realizing our visualization and our imagination is very powerful. This is all a hologram in many ways. And my point to this, even visualization, imagination, and it's all frequency, vibration, energy. It's a hologram. You can put somebody under hypnosis, and you can put a lit cigarette on their arm, against their arm, and you tell them under hypnosis it's just a finger touching their arm. And when they come out of hypnosis, there's no burn there. You can do the other way too. They're under hypnosis. You put a finger on their arm, but you tell them it's a lit cigarette, and they come out of hypnosis and they got a burn mark there. The placebo effect, proven time and time again. Placebo effect, taking the sugar pill, guarantee it's going to make you feel better. You're going to be healed, and they're healed because they took the sugar pill. Or they did operation saying they operated and went successful even though they didn't, and their condition went away. This world we live in is a hologram. So what we believe is what we create. So I've realized when you understand the world of radionics, also known as psychotronics, and radionics is a spiraling waveform, as many of you probably know. There's sine wave, square wave, sawtooth wave, all these different waveforms. Radionics is one that can penetrate through a Faraday cage. It has the ability to do a lot of things that all these other waveforms can't. And when you understand this, I have a machine called SE5 plus 1000, and you can send informational fields to a mountain, to a person, to a whole body of water. Well, when we're all together looking at, like to say, the Pacific Ocean, which is what I do with my global water optimization gathering that I do on Zoom. We all are looking at either a river. We do the whole river, or we do a section of the ocean. And I have a satellite image, so we're all looking at it. We're sending love, we're sending frequencies, and we're understanding how to send specific frequencies to that water. Now, again, I would say this is absolute craziness, insanity, but I know better. This is not insanity. It's not crazy. It's real. I've been working with radionics for years, and I've seen beyond a doubt it works. Works for people, works for environment. Anyways, I won't go more into that right now, but it is a simple and powerful way. Here's a radionics machine. These things, the machines over here to the left, and these are reagents. So as I'm working with a subject, or I'm working with an ocean or a river, I can put specific reagents that I know have vibrational information in them that will support that water to come into homeostasis. And again, it's not about fixing anything when we work with radionics. It's not about healing anything. It's about working with the energetic blueprint of the subject. It's not physically working with the subject. It's working with the energetic blueprint. Everything in the manifest comes from the unmanifest. We've heard this, and we'll hear it more and more because it's the truth. Everything in the manifested form comes from the unmanifest. So again, I got boxes of reagents. And so, this is something, again, Einstein made the famous statement, imagination is more important than knowledge. The fact is that laws of logic depend upon a completely illogical premise. The notion of infinity is a local impossibility, yet the human brain cannot conceptualize this paradox. The great power of imagination is that it spells the death of imitation. So yes, the great power of imagination is that it spells the death of imitation. To imagine means to go where no one else has ever been before, to break free from mental, intellectual, and cultural constraints, and let your mind soar upon the wings of your heart. Imagination is abstract, illogical, and wild. It creates wormholes between worlds, moving in swiftly to analyze itself from meaning or reason. It is the source of all art and creation of the new paradigm when we surrender to it. So, yeah, and I can show you many statements from many other people that also talk about these things. So if anybody is interested in, anything that I do or I'm a part of, feel free to go check out my website. I have many videos I've made, YouTube videos. And also, if you would like to be a part of the nonprofit and what we're doing with the global waterways, feel free to contact me. You got my email there, got my number. How are we doing, Steve?
We're doing okay.
Okay. How do I stop this? All right, there we go. All right, looks like we did pretty good. I flew through that quite quickly, but I know I loaded a lot of people up with a lot of stuff. So take your time in digesting it. Usually that PowerPoint will take me a good 2 hours to go through. But anyways, and I don't know why it kind of, Steve, you there?
I'm back.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue why the PowerPoints, I mean, the words were all wacky and something's not right.
Well, we're still live, Randy. And I just want to let our people know that we had somehow a glitch here. And my computer locked up in that. So I don't know why, if someone sabotaged me or what. But anyway, I'd like to remind everyone, if you need to get hold of Randy, get hold of this www.vibrantvitalwater.com, and the phone number is 575-770-7084. Okay, and we don't have time for questions today, because we're coming over. And I do want to remind everyone to go to testthetech.info, and if you get a chance to, I guess, sign up for our YouTube channel, and to sign up for our, become a member. It's $9.99 a month. We really appreciate it. It helps us. And if you want to sign up for the conference, we still have a 30% discount this week, and if you come in, I'm going to throw in the workshop that we're having. It's going to be on how to build your own drone, so you should be able to walk away from the conference with your very own drone. So with that, without further ado, I want to remind everyone I'll see you all next week, and you all have a great week. Thank you.